So when I went to medical school, like 90% of my professors were obese, sickly, pale, not healthy, not friendly all the time. Physicians I worked with, right, on rotations, residents. I worked with very few individuals who were healthy. In medical school, so I went to the University of Arizona for my MD, and then I went to the University of Washington for residency. Great institutions. Never was nutritional biochemistry talked about with regard to any disease. It's disease management with pharmaceuticals. That's what we do, which is, there's a place for that, but it's completely different than what I got interested in. The history of this is fascinating. There was no such thing as a seed oil before 1870. And then it was first used as a machine lubricant. So they would grind up seeds and use the oil as a machine lubricant. It wasn't really popularized for human consumption until 1910, 1911 with Crisco. They had this excess machine lubricant and they were thinking like, oh, let's use this for human consumption. This will be great. It doesn't spoil as well. It's cheaper. It's lighter. If you look at human health, and of course, 1910, 1900, 1870, 1890, not quite the same as we have now with medicine, but we had records, right? We pretty much knew what a heart attack was, and heart attacks were very rare. Diabetes, very rare. Obesity, very rare. There's photos from even 60 years ago, and we look at humans and they were much less fat than we are today. So there's a clear transition in the last 100 to 110 years. Seed oils really didn't exist before, let's just say late 1800s, and then introduced into the human supply chain early 1900s. Now, along with that, again, this is all correlation, so we have to be careful. We can only draw a hypothesis from this, which we must test, and we can go into all of the lines of evidence that make me very concerned about seed oils. With the introduction of seed oils from 1910, we see a steady rise in chronic illness. All of it tracks together. Gradually increasing rates of obesity, gradually increasing rates of cancer, gradually increasing rates of heart disease, gradually increasing rates of diabetes. And the most significant data we have is probably in the last 50 years, and the trend has continued. But that trend goes all the way back to the early 1900s. Again, that was the beginning of the medical system and the American Heart Association and the American Medical Association beginning to vilify cholesterol, and then in connection with that, animal fats. Back up again for a moment. And we look at the health of the population early 1900s, pretty darn good. I mean, I don't think everybody had amazing diets, but for the most part, there wasn't any seed oil in 1900 in the American diet. People were eating exclusively tallow, which is rendered beef fat or lard. And the majority of pigs in 1900 were probably fed way better diets than they're fed today. The majority of pigs today get corn and soy. So we had animal fats, which were probably better for humans. And they were essentially 100% of the human diet of fats was animal fat, maybe a little bit of olive oil, but not even a whole lot in 1900. And so you're looking at butter, tallow, and lard as the main fats in the human diet. And the rates of chronic illness were very low. Diabetes, very low. Heart attacks, very low. Cancer, much lower. So you're thinking, wait, how come nobody talks about that, right? So again, it's a correlation. We see the introduction of seed oils in the last 100 years, especially in the last 50 years, we know things have gone down the toilet. So it's a very interesting history, and it's been marketed to us as originally a cheaper, better alternative. It doesn't spoil. It looks clean. It's white. Crisco's, is pure white. Margarine is pure white. They have to put pills in it to make it look the same color as butter, which has flavonoids in it from the grass that the cows are eating. And the darker the butter is, the more grass the cow's eating. So it began with that. Again, it's a machine lubricant that got sold to humans as a food.